Welcome to Show Studios Fashion Radio, the podcast video series exploring the remarkable relationship between fashion and music. Every week we'll be joined by fashion's biggest names and the talent of tomorrow as they share their 10 life-defining tunes and the stories behind them. I'm your host, DJ Pat Tony, and today I'm joined by an artist whose immense talent only rivals her personal style. An East London native through and through, she's risen the ranks among the UK's songbirds with her distinct vocal style, reminiscent of the divas of soul, Etta James and Billie Holiday. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, I mean the one and only Paloma Faith. The amazing Paloma Faith. Okay, so this podcast...
I love how you pronounce my name properly.
I've always pronounced it Paloma Faith.
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 Yeah, no one else, they say Faith. It's like, where do you come from?
They don't
Faith.
come from London, do they? No, I've known you many years and I just have always been in awe of you because when it comes to music and fashion, which this podcast is about, you're a name that would come up. If I was to think, who's in music and fashion? Paloma Faith. Because that's what you do. You cross those boundaries. What we talk about a lot on this podcast is, you know, the whole early tribes thing within London and within fashion. You know, we had like pirates and punk and, you know, and it's always gone hand in hand with music. Yeah. And what you do is, you know, we get a lot of pop stars and a lot of people within the industry that get dressed by the industry, and you can tell a mile off, you know, like I call it the Taylor Swift effect. You know, you look at her and you think, she looks,
I even know whose people's mood board I must be on.
Well, yeah, but that's what's so good about it.
You can have a look and go, they've said, I'd
that.
like to just look.
But you know what, with you, it crosses over that, you know, you sum up what this podcast is about because it is music and fashion and music. And that's Paloma Faith. That's the Paloma Faith effect. Because everything you do always has a look and a feel about it.
Yeah.
So with every song that you've released, there's always an image that goes with it, if you get what I'm saying.
That's
to you.
thanks to Madonna, though.
You really think so?
100%. Yeah. That's because when I was a kid, like that, Madonna was the big icon then.
Yeah, right.
And she reinvented every time she ever did anything. And I think we live in an age now where musically people just sort of like playing it safe. Like they tend to release the same album over and over again and they do really well with it. Like we're rewarding that thing of like never pushing boundaries, never changing. But when I was a kid, Madonna was the thing and she reinvented so dramatically every album that for me that was never like, it was never an option not to try and do that. It was like, you've got to like, you know, somebody goes, what's your look going to be this album? It's like, it's always going to be something else.
Yeah. But it's not...
But most artists don't do that in the modern time. They just
get a stylist in and
people love that record. Let's rewrite it again with different words.
Yeah, right. So let's move on with the podcast. So the first question, right, which is always one of my favourites, is a track from your childhood that influenced you in your personal style and taste.
I've said Marilyn Monroe singing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend.
I love that. No one's done that. No one's gone to as their first track. Why?
Because I was about 10 years old and I was obsessed with my cousin who was like an older cousin. You know, you always, when you're a kid, have a relative you look up to. And she loved Marilyn. So we had cassette tapes and she'd put the Marilyn cassette tape on. And then I remember seeing the video of her in that pink dress that Madonna actually did copy.
The Material Girl,
yeah. And then it's all the men like carrying her. And she just looked so like sexy and cute and
it looked effortless as well, though, didn't it? When you watched her, you just thought, she just does it with such ease.
Like such a cheeky, whatever. And I feel like I loved it so much. And it was like, it was at a time where I think it's the opposite of what we've got now, where I'm talking about what's going on now. It's like girl next door, boy next door puts out a record, everyone celebrates. This Marilyn just felt like she was something otherworldly. And as a 10-year-old from Hackney, just like not much else, like the cassette went on and I saw her face and I just thought, oh my God, this was like taking me away from all reality, which is what I wanted to do. And I felt like that, not the sort of like the fact that it was all about like material things, but it was just like really.
You're just drawn to the glamour of it.
The glamour and like the fact that I'd never seen any woman who looked like that.
Yeah.
And it was like completely out of reach.
Yeah.
So it allowed you to dream, I think.
And do you think that when you said the word she was like godly, do you think because she died, do you think when it comes to these iconic women or men, that die at such a young age, it kind of like they become legends because they died when they died.
But I think they were already legends.
Yeah, 100%.
But we just never got to see them like make a mess, which like some who lived a bit longer ended up doing.
The twilight years, yeah.
Yeah, but like I think, she was. I think we celebrate because it's the potential, the lost potential.
Yeah. I watched. I was at Glastonbury. I watched Elton do "Candle in the Wind," and he had this footage. I've seen it like about 8 times now at his gigs. There's this footage of Marilyn when he's singing "Candle in the Wind." This like Super 8 film, and it was just so beautiful and just so raw with her naked and her drinking and her like it's just I don't know what I'm gonna have to ask them where they got the footage for because it was so magical.
I think sometimes there are people in history who are just stars.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter when you watch the film. She was quite an untalented actress.
Yeah.
But she was a star, and I feel like that's something that's perhaps ignored now or like not celebrated. Like, with like the rise of like Anyone Can Do It, The Voice, X Factor. It's just like anyone. And then we like our biggest acts are people who could live next door to us.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's not inspiring to me. I think the reason why I loved that song was because it was inspiring that I would never be as... You can't teach that, what Marilyn had.
I love that.
It's unobtainable, and she was just like in her own lane.
I love that. I think it's such a great first track to choose. Right, track 2, a film that was important to you.
It's very highbrow, isn't it?
I don't know this.
It's Yumeji by Shigeru Umebayashi.
Can you say that again?
No, don't ask me. But it was from, it's like the soundtrack to In the Mood for Love and 2046, which is like Wong Kar-wai films. And I really love it because it's sort of emotional, but also it's the women in his films always wear the same dress, but in a different fabric.
How amazing.
So every time you see her, she's in the scene wearing exactly the same outfit but cut in a different fabric. It blows my mind how beautiful it is. It's so simple, but I think
subtle, right?
They did that as well in The Cook, the Thief, the Wife and His Lover, the Peter Greenaway film. That was Gautier. Every time
love that film,
they left the room, it was the same outfit but in a different colour.
Yeah.
That was Helen Mirren being like the top, most sexiest woman on earth. But like, there's this sort of series of films by Wong Kar-wai. I think it's sort of, amazing because it's all about relationships and songwriters love stuff about that. But I think what's amazing is it's that same thing as the Marilyn thing where it's like this elegance of a woman who's so classy and like chic. And she's just sort of just effortless and beautiful. And she's just wearing this same dress for both films, but it's always different fabric.
Right, we're now on the subject of films. Let's talk about your acting career. I think you're fucking amazing as an actress. I've told you, how many times have I told you? But how many times have I told you? Every time I used to see you all the time, I'd be like, oh my God, Pennyworth. You blew the roof off of that series. You were so good in it. And I know you were playing an evil bitch in it and everything.
Which is very easy for me. It's not far to go.
It's easy for all of us. But you know what? You were so good. You played it so well. It was just like, I just don't understand why you've not moved into that more.
I want to, but I'm not very good at, I don't think I'm very good at recording video auditions. Okay. And that's what they keep asking me to do.
Yeah, I mean, just send them that. Honestly, that series, you were just... I mean, I don't think many people saw it because it was on streaming.
Yeah.
As many people should have seen it. I was going around telling everyone, have you seen Paloma in this? Because you just carried it so well.
Sometimes the directors will was scared. There was one director that was always a bit worried. So he was like, you okay? Like, you really believe this? Like, there was this one scene where he said to me, right, we're going to do you murdering. And in the end, they didn't use the close-ups because it was too
graphic.
They were like, we'll just use the wide. He came and like sat me down and was like, I think you need to take 20 minutes.
No, really? How amazing is that?
Because he was like, I want you to think about someone that's really hurt you. That's what he said. And I want you to just go for it on them. And it was a metal bar with like a dummy person.
Yeah.
And I was screaming obscenities and I was like, like that. And then there was spraying blood all over me. And afterwards he was like, I think we should cut. I think Paloma's perhaps gone to the place of no return.
But that's what was, that was what was so good about the series.
If you're not trained as an actor, you've got to do it for real, though.
Right, totally right. I think there's definitely a career there for you with acting.
Or I become a murderer. One of the two.
I kind of get close to that some days. Trust me. Okay, what do you listen to on a day-to-day?
The John Coltrane, A Kind of Blue. I didn't really know how to answer it because I change every day.
So when you get in your car, right?
Oh my God, when I get in my car, when you put it like that, it's always 90s R&B.
Right, yeah. Why?
It's New Jack Swing.
Why?
Because that's my era.
But what does it do to you when you put that track on?
I just know every lyric.
Yeah, right.
Like, there's not a single that I miss, or like I apologize. It's like my karaoke moment. It makes you feel back to when you were young and you knew every lyric and you listened to your tapes over and over again, or you made your mixtapes from do you remember when we used to do record and stop on the radio to stop the
top
talking?
10. Yeah, of course, on top 10. Literally.
Just cut it, I made you a mixtape, but it would always have someone go, at the end of each song. That was...
I think everyone from that era used to do that. Do you know what I mean? Mixtapes were an amazing thing, and I just think that's something that we lack again. Do you know what I mean? Because now we just stream shit. Do you know what I mean?
People make mixtapes, but it's not the same because it's not got the...
It's not got Kid Jensen telling you the top 10, cutting his voice out of it every time.
Exactly.
So you had literally a minute and a half of a song that you would play constantly and rewind and play constantly and
you
rewind.
Listen to the end because somebody was talking over it.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But so I would say my day-to-day would probably be definitely 90s R&B in the car.
Do you have a go-to song when you're upset or you're feeling down? Do you think, you go home and you just put it on? Do you have one of those kind of tracks?
An upset one?
Well, it doesn't mean to be upset. What makes you want to be...
The other day I listened 25 times in a row. Sunshine Anderson, Heard It All Before.
I love that song so much. Oh my God.
Heard it all before. I was your fool.
It's so genius. But there's Sunshine, honestly, what? See, why is that not on here? That's such an amazing track.
I was probably being grumpy when I answered these. I thought, it'd be fine when I'm in the room with...
Yeah, you know it. Oh my God, I Heard It All Before is such a genius track.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
See,
that would make me happy, but that would
row.
make me sad as well when I wanted it to. Do you get what I'm saying to you? When I was going for a breakup, I used to listen to, and I'm going to admit it now, Only Love Can Hurt Like This constantly.
Oh, did
all
you?
the time.
But it's true, only love can hurt.
It really can. And I used to play it. I literally go, Siri, Only Love Can Hurt Like This, Paloma Faith. And it would just play it. And I'd go, and it gets to the end and I'd do almost the mixtape thing. I'd go, right, play again.
Just rewind.
Constantly, play again.
Reload.
Because it's one of those tracks that just, it can take you to that place that it needs to take you to. And
And Diane Warren, the writer's favourite word is cunt.
Oh, there you go then. That's why I love it so much.
Obviously why you love it so much.
100%.
When I
linked.
got to number one, for my first career number one was in Australia with that song. I'd never had one before. And she sent me a gold bracelet engraved with the words number one cunt on it.
Amazing. Amazing. I love her already. Right, what do you listen to when you're working? And this is a quite common answer.
I put silence because it's really distracting because my work is music. So if I listen to other people, then I start writing what they've written.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid doing that because it gets into your subconscious. So I'm currently I can say this. I've got a first single for my new album coming out soon. Yeah. And somebody said, it sounds a little bit like this other song. So then we sent it to a musicologist, and they are the people who analyse.
Oh, wow, there's such a thing.
And say, would you win this in court or would you not? And they were like, just for safety, we advise you to change the melody. So now I'm rewriting it. But it's those times where you think, oh my God, I shouldn't have listened to that so much because maybe it went in.
Yeah, subconsciously gone in and,
so
you've
now I'm
it.
Trying to rewrite the melody for it not to be, because I don't want to get sued, do I?
Well, the thing is, it's weird, isn't it, how the brain works? Because, when I was writing a book, I would go and we speak to people about stories, and they always made the story about them. And you say to them, do you remember when this happened? They're like, oh yeah, I was the funniest person. And you're like,
in that story, I'm the central character.
Yeah, and it's like, I would leave from those interviews and I'd think, are they serious? But it's I think in their brain it's what they take in, and it kind of over time morphs into them.
Memory's a weird thing.
It really is, isn't it? And it's
not
just
set in stone.
No,
because I remember I don't know. My mum always tells me how it is. Sometimes I'll recount things. She's like, that's absolutely not. I remember once, I was about 14, 15, everyone used to do, you playing out?
Yeah, of course,
They don't do that anymore. So they'd come and knock for me and go,
allowed out to play?
Playing out tonight. And then I'd go out, and then I remember the door opened slightly and this kid had said, what was your childhood like? And I said, it was amazing and perfect. And I heard my mum shout in the back, going, no, it bloody wasn't.
Do you know what I mean?
She's invented it. She makes stuff up.
Genius.
Always positive.
Genius.
But I was like, yeah, my childhood was amazing. It was perfect. She was like, not with that, father.
Amazing. My mum's very similar as well. My mum, I did a talk thing the other week at the theatre, and my mum came on stage, and my mum's like, I've never hit my kids. I said, you fucking liar. You used to take your shoe off and hit us with it. And my little brother was in the audience. I said, Dean, didn't she used to? And Dean was like, yeah, she used to whack us with the belt. And she's sitting there like that, 80 years old. She's like, oh, shut up, you two. And I was like, no, you used to hit us all the time. You're a fucking lying bitch. And the whole audience were clapping and screaming. And it was like, she was like, I've never hit my kid. I love my kids. You used to whack us with belts. Do you know what I mean? It was so genius. It's amazing how when mothers, they either say it as it is. It's amazing, isn't it?
We all have our own memories.
Of course.
But also, there's certain people who've done awful things where I'm convinced that to survive, you have to block it. You have to be in denial.
100%. Just, with me, I hold on to bad memories. I don't really remember good things. Okay, because that's because of trauma when I was a kid. And, that's changed now.
But
I don't really hang on to that
recovery,
stuff.
you have a lot of stuff that you kind of keep returning back.
Yeah. And, I think the further you get down and the more work you do on yourself and the more you confront that stuff and those demons. I hate that word demons, but when you confront that stuff, and that's where the change comes. Yeah. And that stuff no longer defines me. That stuff's not the problem for me anymore because I can talk about it and I think about it. Yeah. Whereas before I didn't talk about it or think about it, so it was a really big problem.
I think we all are capable of appalling things, and we're all capable of brilliant things.
100%.
There's no one who's an exception.
No, there isn't.
It just depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, and we all get into circumstances, and that's the problem. And life throws this stuff at us. And, to have the ability to actually write that stuff. Do you write a lot or not?
Yes.
You do, yeah.
I've particularly written a ton on this album that's going to come out because it's like I feel like I'm dealing with a lot of shame and guilt.
Mm-hmm. Shame's a big one, right?
Because I've broken up with my children's dad, and I sort of vowed that I wouldn't do that because that's what the situation I grew up in.
Are you doing an Adele with this album?
Well, hopefully I'm doing a Paloma.
Yeah, well, that's the correct answer. Is Adele doing a Paloma? That's what we should have said. But do you find that when you've been through pain or you're going through something, that's what you write about? It makes you write better.
I think so, but I feel like this is to do with me it's not as clear cut as like me. I think a lot of women write a lot about being victims.
Yeah.
And I think that this album's about me taking responsibility for what I've done.
Amazing.
And there's a lot of
That's honest.
There's a lot of stuff about me saying that I messed up and like, but I'm, you know,
Well
that
done.
doesn't make me like Britain's most
hated
awful
one.
person.
Yeah, no, of course it doesn't. 'Cause
It's
you
just that there's an interlude on there called "There's Nothing More Human Than Failure,"
Amazing.
and it's basically there is.
Right, moving
Sorry,
on.
back to fashion.
Back to fashion. Yeah, but that's the beauty of this,
Yeah.
you see, right? Okay, so let's move on to what do you listen to when you're creating?
I've put Janis Joplin
Fucking hell. Why?
for this album.
Oh, for this
I
album.
listened to her loads because she was.
Is that the one that you copied?
No, it
Thank
wasn't
God
one
it
of her
wasn't Janis.
songs.
Yeah, go on.
But I've put it because I just think there's something that I've kind of arrived at with this album where it's a bit more rocky, but I've always had like quite a soulful voice, and I feel like she's the bridge for that. So she had this like church-like power, but she allowed herself to let it break. And I think, you know, I nearly broke in this last couple of years where what happened, and I just was like, oh my God. Like, I mean, it's a bit mad to explain, but like my mum was a single mum, so I just didn't think it would be as hard as what it was. But like, I thought I would be okay because I'm a very independent person.
Yeah.
But it really like made me look in the mirror. You know what you do in recovery. It like you're faced with your own fallibility, and you just look at yourself and you're like, I'm not sure I like it.
Yeah, of course.
What's looking back at me? So I feel like Janis embodied that. Like you could tell, just hated herself. And there's so much desperation and suffering in her voice. And she would push herself to the point where she was willing to break for every performance.
Yeah.
So like, whereas now people go on stage and you like, you know, you're trained by singing teachers to reserve your voice, hold back so you can do tomorrow's show. Or, you know, you've got a 6-month tour, don't shoot your load on the first day and all of that. Whereas Janis was just like, I might be dead tomorrow. She had a load of shit going on and she would just leave it all on the floor, her guts and her being. And I just felt like that's what I needed to do for this record. And like, you know, there's some of the songs that I've recorded on it, I've left all the imperfections in because I think it's like a symbol of, you know, we live in a time where everything's, obviously there's some homogenised songs on there because you've got to get on the radio, but like there's a lot of stuff in there that's like raw and imperfect. And there's bits of me talking, which I've never done before as well.
But do you not think that makes it more real, right?
I hope so. I mean, some people some people love it, some people hate it.
Have you worked out a look for this album yet?
No, what do you think? You're sort of cascading your fingers across
I'm
your
just
eyebrow
thinking,
like I should just model myself on you. It's like the whole look is basically
on Tony and his
inspired
recovery.
by DJ Fat Tony's whole...
I'm going to pull all my teeth out.
Yeah, I'm going to
glamorous.
go for DJ Fat Tony 1989.
Let's not do 89. 89 was a good year. So I know that 95 you don't want to go for. 96, yeah. 89 was
Well,
all
the
right.
90s is in, so maybe I'll go 96.
Yeah, no teeth. Yeah, God, she looked great.
Just punch all my
great,
teeth out.
Great cheekbones.
But yeah, so Janis, for that reason, I just found it inspiring to listen to her and then take myself to the studio and be like, I don't play it safe. I've never played it safe. And I think it was about going to the studio and just being really honest.
Yeah.
And it was hard. Like I had sessions this time where I was like in bits, like telling people stuff that I was ashamed to admit to myself.
Yeah.
When then you say it out loud and you're like, I can't even believe I'm telling you this because I don't forgive myself. So how are you going to forgive me?
Okay, so what song represents the sound of your studio? Now, when we say studio, we mean like it was a fashion question more than anything, you know, like a house studio, like the house of, you know, Westwood or whatever. So within your studio. So it kind of what it means is what represents where you're at in your career. I think you've just not really answered it with Janis and everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, Take Another Little Piece of My Heart is probably of hers, the one that's like, you've just I've had so many relationships now, and I feel like also like becoming a mother made me give up loads of my heart, because it's different. I'd never been single before with kids.
Yeah.
And it's like a different thing. You don't really give yourself fully.
Yeah,
if I'm going to be honest. You just go like, I've got to retain this because I've got these two people I'm responsible for, and I can't just like be a bloody bluthering mess at home, can I? Go, no. Like I'm quite a sort of, I know some people show their kids everything, but I'm quite of the mindset of like, no, I've got to be their anchor and a pillar of strength, and I tend not to show them. I know some people say that's bad parenting, but it's what I prefer to do. I'm a bit like, I'm just like, nope, nothing's going to touch the side here, girls.
You're their parent, it's up to you. Do you know what I'm saying to you?
Exactly, yeah. Some people are like, you should show them when you cry, otherwise they're going to grow up to think they can't cry.
No.
And I'm like, well, they can cry, but I don't want them to cry all the time either. That's not a good thing.
I think with my family, with my parents, I got shown too much. You know, I got shown the drunk side of my dad. I got shown, you know, and I don't. That's what some kids don't need to see.
And
do you
violence and all that. I don't want that. I'm just like, nothing. Your life needs to be good. So I think take another little piece of my heart. One quick
question before we move on. Do you think that this breakup's made you a stronger person, or it's made you weaker?
I think it's. I don't know if it's. Oh, I don't know if it's a question of that. One of the things it's made me think is that, like, maybe there's no clear answers. Maybe it just is. And I think that before I was always like, you know, aspiring to do. I've got to get the kids. I've got to like. But like maybe I am a bit of a nightmare. Maybe I'm a bit of a nightmare to be with, and maybe I struggle to be who I need to be. Like, or maybe there's different ways. Like my mum and stepdad, for example, have been in a form of relationship that's taken many different forms since I was 3 years old.
Wow.
Now they'd say they were friends.
Yeah.
But they've never lived together.
Amazing.
Don't knock it. That's long lasting.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, I was 7 years ago.
Yeah, you wish.
But they've been together for some time, and they live 5 minutes walk from each other, and their relationship is intact. They've been open to the fact that it used to maybe at times be romantic, then it isn't, whatever. So I think maybe that kind of feeling is cathartic. Like we put too much expectation on ourselves to think that there's like a one-size-fits-all thing. And I just don't
it's
think
different
there
strokes
is.
for different folks. It
I
really
actually
is on
do
so many
think
levels.
most relationships last 7 years.
I mean, my relationship I'm in at the moment, we don't live together, and people keep going, you're not going to move in together.
No.
I'm like, we know, he lives up the road. He's absolutely fine in his own house. We like our space.
And most relationships probably last 7 years. Maybe they then...
My last relationship lasted 7 years.
And then I think maybe sometimes the ones that work are the ones who sit through the bit where it's not working and then have another 7 years.
The grey matter, yeah. I get ya. Okay, most important song you've heard from a catwalk show.
I can't answer that because the catwalk shows, when they're really amazing to me, are the ones where the music and the catwalk show make one thing.
Yeah.
So my favourite show of all time is the Alexander McQueen show.
Which one's?
It's where it was like a mermaid person inside a glass mirrored box, and it
amazing.
opens and all the flies fall out.
Yeah.
And Kate was wearing that dress half cut red
The one with
thing.
the butterflies.
Yeah, it was butterflies.
The butterflies,
and then Kate's like wearing that dress that was made out of like half sort of shells, long shells.
Incredible.
That I've watched it so many times, and it's been on like most of my mood boards my whole career, where I'm just like, how can I be a mermaid? Like not just like a glamorous one, but a real one.
Yeah.
I want to do the whole gig from inside a tank in water. And they're like, that's just not possible through silence. But I'm just like, it must be. It's just like, what's the name from the film Mermaid?
Oh, which one are you? What's she called, that one?
Goes,
The evil
Daryl
one.
Hannah.
Oh, from Splash.
I'm in the tank. I'm in the
amazing.
tank.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the whole gig from inside the tank.
Amazing. Like, that's Daryl Hannah.
But no,
Splash.
you don't have gills, Paloma, and you can't breathe underwater, so you can't do that.
I'm glad you mentioned Alexander McQueen because it's,
Do you know,
those shows were incredible.
And also, like, I don't think anybody's ever lived like him. And I never met him. And I actually once had an amazing cab journey because it was like, I think his cousin was the driver.
Uh-huh.
And he was saying, sitting with you in the back's just like having him in the back. He goes, you keep jumping from these highbrow things to like local news about East London. He's like, you just jump from one thing to another. And he was like, I said, that's the biggest compliment anyone's ever given to me. Because like that thing of like being able, that poem, If, Rudyard Kipling, it's like, my mum always used to say it to me when I like left school and everything. She'd go, remember, Paloma, you can dine with kings but never lose the common touch. And that's basically what Alexander McQueen embodied.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was like, to me, that his show, that particular show, was like, for me it was inspiring because it was like watching someone else from East London who was probably one of the weirdos, which I was as a kid. Like, how come you've discovered all this weird stuff when you're just like an East Londoner? And that's what he was like, and I really related to that. And like the music for that, I don't know who composed it, but it's like wah, 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 wah. And it's like got that hypnotic thing. That's why I like Michael Nyman a lot as well. It's like repeating over and over and over again because life's like that. It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Also, that Peter Greenaway film, Michael Nyman did the music for that. It's like the same thing over and over and over and over again until it takes on new meaning. And that's what life's like.
I love that.
Thanks. Sorry, I got carried away.
That's good. I love it. Right, next, best music video in terms of fashion.
Bad Romance.
Genius, though. But we've had Gaga so many times on this podcast series when it comes to music and fashion because they go in hand in hand. It's like you mentioned Madonna. Madonna's another one that always pops up because they're the greats. And Bad Romance is a brilliant video.
And I also always like refer back to Madonna, like, oh, no one does that. And then when that video came around, I was like, somebody does it.
Yeah. They do.
And it was important.
I don't think people give her Gaga the respect on those levels as they do to Madonna. The younger kid generation don't. They see it as being Gaga, but they don't see the fashion sense in it and everything else that goes with it. Yeah. Because it's. A lot of people won't admit that they like Bad Romance. That they'll be like, we're shy away from it.
It's very mainstream or whatever.
Yeah, it's pop, it's Gaga. But it's a piece. It's a work of art. I really do believe it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and also when I was doing, because I did a master's at art school, when I was doing that, somebody said something interesting to me about real, genuine, true art. And it was like the best works of art throughout history all have one thing in common, and that is that they can be enjoyed by the mind of a child all the way up to the most intellectual human being. So you can't knock stuff because it's commercial, because
no, you can't.
If it reaches more people than any other thing, which that song did and that video did, that is a real epitome of like
perfect art. Yeah.
Perfect art.
Yeah,
because
100%.
Not all commercial stuff is perfect art, but that is, because you can intellectualize that as well as you can just go, oh, it looks nice.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. And it's a really good way to sum it up because, it does, it appeals to different peoples on different levels for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly. So a kid can go, I love that video, but then like an intellectual person can go, that was so poignant. I understood that reference.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
Or whatever, or the burning of the staff and all of that, it's metaphorical.
Okay, the next question is a song. I always laugh at this. A musician you wish to work with, living or dead. The dead bit always gets me. I'm like, living or dead? And I love your answer for this because I love her as well. It'd be weird to sort of
dance around on stage with a corpse as well, wouldn't it?
It's my inspiration.
I'm just like here dancing with the bones of Edith Piaf.
The nose bones. So who's your answer for this
I've
one?
put Lauryn Hill.
Yeah. Why?
And the songs to Zion because I think it really encapsulated how I felt when I had kids.
Yeah.
Because it's like she was a successful musician and she says like they told, look at your career, they said, Lauren baby, use your head. But instead I chose to use my heart. And it's just like, oh my God, I've got goosebumps.
That's amazing.
Saying it.
Yeah, no, that made me sit up. Yeah, go on.
But I think like, yeah, I experienced that. I think, loads of people in music never had kids. Everyone did during COVID because they had time off to actually have sex.
Yeah.
But but I think women are afraid because they think that you're not sexy when you have children and that sex sells music. But I've never felt that sex sold my music. And I've always felt like, oh, do you know what? I think that the risk that that unfortunately we live in a time where feminism's got a lot of unfinished business.
Yeah.
And the reality is you can't just think that society doesn't treat you different as a parent. It does. Like when a woman's had a kid, everyone looks at you different. You become a bit invisible.
Yeah.
But it's up to you to become visible again.
Yeah. You do a very good job of being visible.
Being visible.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, well, some people find it terribly annoying, but
No,
I don't care.
Yeah, but they're the ones. Who cares what they think? That's what I'm saying to you.
So basically, yeah, I think when I decided, I thought, what's the choice? It's like, do I risk losing everything and having the kids that I want, or do I risk not having kids and then just having that? And I felt that would feel empty just to have a career.
You want happiness,
so
right?
I'd like my cake and eat it, thank you very much. And at the moment, I think I'm managing to do that. I don't go out as much as I would like. Also, people...
Do you think hang on, you said as you would like. Do you think that? Do you get FOMO? I get JOMO. I get the joy of missing out these days. There's so many invites that come in. I'm like, no, I just don't want to go. I
think it's a mix. Like it's not necessarily FOMO, but sometimes I think, oh, I would have gone maybe if I could have got a babysitter and it was a bit short notice or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
But part of me thinks maybe it just means I only go to the good ones.
Yeah, which is what you should do and you'd be going to. You don't need to be seen at every opening of a toilet seat because that's you just say soulless and you become a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And I quite like not going. I
also
don't get me wrong, I like being invited.
Yeah, I love to be invited.
Yeah, I've got to be invited. If I don't get invited, then there's trouble. But then I turn it down.
Yeah.
But do you get what I mean? But
you want to know you're wanted.
100%.
Then you say no, thank you.
Do you know what I mean? If you don't invite me to something, you're going to get a phone call the next day. I don't think so. What's going on here? Yeah, you can blame it on your assistant.
And then they go, okay, actually, we have got an invite for you here. And you go, oh, it's unfortunate because I've made other plans to stay home and watch Netflix.
I'm away then anyway. Right, attract represents how you feel about your life right now. We're kind of summing all this up in all the questions. It's quite a good one. Where are you at in life right now?
I am what I am, I said.
Yeah,
Shirley Bassey.
And you certainly are who you are, Paloma Faith. That's what I say.
I just love Shirley Bassey as well because she's got a career that just spans decades and decades.
Did you see her at the V&A the other 2 weeks ago?
I wasn't invited.
I didn't go. But
Thanks,
she was at
V&A. But I would have been busy.
Yeah, she was at the Diva. She turned up for the Diva thing because they had her costumes in the Diva show.
Yeah.
The Victoria and Albert Museum is showing it for their summer show is called Diva, and it's all the costumes.
Yes, and I wasn't invited. Thank you.
Are you included in it?
I would like to think that I was a diva.
Well, what do you mean you would like to think you are a diva?
At least a drama queen at the very least.
We've got enough of them. We don't need any more of them. No, so she looks amazing. I saw videos the next day, the world we live in, on everyone else's phone, and she looked incredible.
Yeah, she is amazing. I think that this album and what I'm talking about and my mindset is like, I think that for many years of my life, I really tried to be a goody two-shoes, and I just was in denial of loads of portions of my personality and who I am and trying to push them away or feeling terrible when they emerged.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, no, you're a whole person and it's all part of you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's quite freeing.
Yeah, it's really freeing. When you show people the warts and all, it's
and
a really amazing thing.
And they're still there going, I get it.
Yeah, I used to have one of those walks. I got rid of it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like that's how it works. And when we hide that stuff from people always. I think people know that we're hiding stuff because we overcompensate in the areas that we shouldn't be overcompensating.
Totally.
Like being the loudest person in the room or being the bitchiest and all of those things that I used to be to cover up the fact that I was an insecure person. And I think that today, I've got to this point in my life where I actually love who I am, which is a remarkable thing.
That's so nice.
No, but but it takes
There's
trauma.
There's a song on my album called I Am Enough.
Get there. You are enough, though.
And we all think we're not.
Yeah, I know we do.
Also, can I just add, I know it's like a bit like hard, but I did have 36 warts on one foot once.
Did
from
you?
Hackney Baths.
Oh, how genius is that?
As a kid. 36 warts.
36?
Yeah.
We
So
don't want
warts
to
and all.
put that on the cover of the album. Just that foot.
Just the foot.
With his 36 walks.
They might have had to amputate.
Fuck off.
It was bad.
Is that bad?
It was
From Hackney Baths?
Yeah, from Hackney Swimming Baths.
Oh, genius. Is that why people used to wear those rubber feet, like sock things?
Little
in swimming pools?
latex socks.
Yeah,
That's when I got into latex.
What are you wearing them for? How funny. So, all I can say is thank you so much for coming in and doing this.
Thank you.
And you don't need luck because luck's not what it's about. You're blessed. I truly believe you're blessed. You just keep shining, and whatever we go through in life, we just have to turn it around on its head and make it work for us. And I truly believe you're going to do that with this album because you're Paloma Faith.
Thank you.
Don't forget that. We love you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. You're amazing too.
Oh, shut up. See you later.
Cunt.
Biggest cunt you'll ever meet.